Hey, Andrew Murray here from the Apartment Specialists. Welcome to our channel. Today we've got John here from the team.
Hi guys.
Cool. Now, today we're sort of wrapping up a series we did on leasehold. The first one was talking about, leasehold, the stigma. Why are people sort of hating on leasehold? And also, what's it good for? So basically, and it makes me think of the song Absolutely Nothing, but that's not the case. It's really good for cash flow and lifestyle. What it's not good for or not best for is an instrument for capital gain. Okay, so what we covered last time was an example of lifestyle where it really worked. So today we're going to cover an example of cash flow. And where it works there. So very quickly, John, explain what we mean by cash flow.
Cool. Yeah, so you're purchasing to suit a means. That means being a form of income. Okay, now when you're looking at a property for a cash flow purpose, there are three factors that you want to consider. Okay, it's how much money you have to put down to get money coming back in. Cool. So your deposit or your mortgage, etc. How you're going to pay, how much are you paying? The income that's being generated by this purchase, so your rent, your annual rent, and the outgoings to sustain it. Okay, so your body corporate or your ground rent or etc. Total outgoings. Cool. And so you look at the total income, you minus the total outgoings, and whatever you're left with will give you a return percentage.
Okay, and we're talking return percentage, that's the percentage of what you purchased it for. Okay, cool, like it. Okay, so now let's go straight into an example. Let's go to, I think you brought a leasehold example and a freehold example. Cool, let's go straight.
Cool, so how I've done this is I basically looked for two apartments that were generating the same amount of income every year, being the same amount of rent, we'll say. Okay, cool. $430 per week. I got a leasehold example and a freehold example, and we're going to compare the numbers so you can see how it works. So we'll start with the leasehold. So start with cash down, $169,000 will buy you a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 32 square metre studio, which will bring in, as I said, $430 a week rent, which works out to $22,360 per year, before any of your outgoings. Okay, cool. Factor in the outgoings, For this particular apartment, we've got $4,882.85 for the total outgoings that are attached to the apartment. So your ground rent, your body corporate, your OPEX, whatever. Okay. Then we look at what you're going to have to pay down for your mortgage. Okay. So with leasehold, it's generally 50% across the board, depending. There are obviously other scenarios where it will change, but average 50%. So 50% of 169,000 is 84,500, meaning your mortgage is exactly that, 84,500. Okay. Now we work out the interest on that 84,500 per year, which works out to $4,200. Okay. So what we do then is we combine the interest with the apartment outgoings, and we get $9,082. We take that off the $22,000 that we're getting in rent, and we're left with $13,277.15. Or, if you put it into a net return percentage, 7.85% net. Cool. If you were buying cash and the mortgage was out of the equation, it'd be 10.34% net, which is huge.
Yeah, I like it. Cool. Okay, let's go into the freehold example so we can actually see.
Cool, so freehold. So to buy the same sort of solution, 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 32 square metres, the most reasonably priced one that I could find was $299,000. This was close to the water, not quite on the waterfront with like the leasehold one. Same numbers, so $22,360 per year, was the income. Same rent, as I said, $430. Now let's look at the outgoings. So the outgoings for the apartment, slightly less for the outgoings for the apartment because there's no lease component, right? Cool. So $3,436, about $1,400 cheaper than the leasehold one. So deposit though, let's look at what we have to pay down. Because of the size of that apartment, banks aren't going to lend under normal situations 20-15% like they would on your properties, like your houses and stuff. It's going to be a 50% borrow as well. So $149,500 is what you'd be looking at a mortgage and a deposit, because 50%. So this is where the numbers really start to change in the favour of leasehold, because we're comparing now a $7,475 annual interest payment for your freehold versus your $4,200 annual interest payment for your leasehold. Okay, so that's where you start to see the numbers change, and that leaves us with $11,448.23 after all outgoings versus your $13,277 for your leasehold, which is only a 3.82% net return. So you can see, like, from a cash flow perspective, you're going to get more coming in for less down and still have money in the bank to spare if you're purchasing leasehold.
Okay, and if you bought it cash, what?
If you bought it cash, the freehold one would work out to 6.32. And as I say, that's a well-priced unit, so that's a decent return. But as I say, you're comparing that to a 10.34% with leasehold. So there's more money in for less money out.
So leasehold actually is really positive for certain situations.
I think cash flow is probably the best example for how it can be utilised as a strength. But as I say, there's numerous. It all comes down to the owners.
And that's why we're seeing a lot of baby boomers, accountants, and of that age group coming in and buying them for this reason.
Exactly.
Okay, so the interesting thing, I'm going to put in one spanner in the works before we go. The leasehold component, what's scary is, okay, what happens if that lease doubled?
Yeah, sure. And look, we can do the maths here now. So we see $1,632 was the lease portion of that $4,800 outgoings. So let's double that and say add another $1,600 to the total amount. So we'll just pull another $1,600 off the $13,277. It's still going to come out more than $11,448. You're still walking
winning.
away with more. You're still winning. You're still winning. So if it was to double, questionable, but for the sake of maths, it would still work out as in favour of leasehold. I mean, there are many ways that it does work, and it's about finding that solution for the right person.
Okay, well, thank you. I think these series of videos have shown you that leasehold has had a bad rap. I think we can probably really consolidate that because it's been sold for the wrong reasons, mainly to be an instrument for achieving a capital gain.
Yeah, nest eggs, not the best.
It's not what it should be used for. It's more about lifestyle or income. Thanks, John, for coming in.
You're welcome.
Any questions from today, please put in the box below. We'll answer those questions as soon as possible. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. And cheers, John.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.